Imagine waking up one morning to a world that feels familiar, yet disturbingly different. The sky looks the same. The air smells the same. But something is wrong, deeply wrong. The coastline you grew up with is gone. Streets where families once walked now lie underwater. The ocean has surged inland, not as a crashing tsunami, but as a steady, unstoppable force. This is the world we would face if all the ice on Earth, every glacier, every ice sheet, every frozen mountain peak, melted tomorrow. It would mark the beginning of one of the most dramatic transformations in the history of our planet. To understand this future, we need to grasp how much water is locked in ice right now. Most people imagine Arctic sea ice melting, but sea ice is already floating. It barely affects sea levels. The real danger lies in the ice stored on land. The mountain glaciers, Greenland's massive ice sheet, and the enormous frozen deserts of Antarctica. Together, they hold enough water to raise global sea levels by about 70 meters, over 230 feet. That's enough to push coastlines dozens of kilometers inland. It's enough to erase entire cities. It's enough to redraw the map of Earth. If all of this melted in a single day, the first hours would be catastrophic. For coastal communities, there would be no warning and no time to escape. Harbors would vanish almost instantly. Subway systems, sewer lines, and electrical tunnels would flood airports built near the water, like JFK, Miami International, and Hong Kong International, would be swallowed whole. Entire island nations would disappear beneath the waves before the world fully understood what was happening. Millions of people living in river deltas, Bangladesh, the Nile Delta, the Mekong Delta, would lose everything within hours. It would be the beginning of a humanitarian disaster unlike anything in human history. As the panic settles, Earth's new coastlines would emerge, and the destruction would become even clearer. New York City, Shanghai, London, Mumbai, Tokyo, Lagos, Bangkok, all drowned. These are not just cities. They're cultural pillars, economic engines, and population centers. Gone. The United States would lose Florida entirely. Much of the East Coast would vanish. Europe would lose Venice, Amsterdam, Copenhagen, and large portions of its infrastructure. Asia would face massive loss of farmland and industry along its coasts. Overnight, humanity would become far more crowded, pushing inland into limited terrain. This sudden shift would spark the largest migration in history. Not millions, billions would be forced to flee. People would rush into inland cities that were never built for such numbers. Overwhelming housing, food supplies, and sanitation countries would fight to secure resources and territory for their displaced populations. Governments would face impossible choices: build enormous seawalls or abandon the coasts entirely. The cost of defending every shoreline on Earth would be astronomical, forcing even wealthy nations to retreat. But the melting wouldn't just flood the world, it would rewrite the planet's climate systems. Ice plays a crucial role in reflecting sunlight. Without it, darker land and ocean absorb more heat, speeding up global warming. And the sudden release of trillions of tons of fresh water into the oceans would disrupt major currents that stabilize weather patterns. The Gulf Stream could weaken, plunging Europe into harsher winters, even as the rest of the world grows hotter. Monsoons might shift, storms could intensify, and heat waves could become far more extreme. Earth wouldn't simply be warmer, it would be unpredictable. Wildlife would face devastation as well. Polar bears, penguins, seals, and countless cold-adapted creatures would lose their habitats instantly. Fish populations would relocate as ocean temperatures and currents change, disrupting global fisheries. Coral reefs, already under pressure from warming waters, would face further bleaching and collapse. Wetlands, mangrove forests, estuaries, all would drown under the relentless rise, removing natural storm barriers and accelerating erosion inland. The crisis would continue. Many of the world's major rivers, like the Ganges, Yangtze, Colorado, and Indus, depend on glacial melt for fresh water. Without glaciers, these rivers would surge briefly, then shrink dramatically. Billions of people rely on them for drinking water, farming, and power. As the rivers weaken, droughts would intensify. Food production would fall sharply. Coastal farmlands would be lost to saltwater, while inland farms would struggle with water scarcity. The global food supply chain would be pushed to the breaking point. Economies would crumble under the weight of such rapid change. Coastal ports such as Rotterdam, Los Angeles, Singapore, and Shanghai, the foundations of global trade, would vanish. Oil refineries, warehouses, nuclear plants, financial districts, manufacturing hubs, all gone. The world would be forced to rebuild entirely new inland infrastructure from scratch at unimaginable cost. This wouldn't be a short-term emergency. It would be a multi-century rebuilding period. When the storms calm and the floods settle, humanity would face a transformed planet. New seas would form where valleys once stood. Former mountain ice fields might become fertile, lush river landscapes. Some deserts might shrink as changing weather patterns bring new rainfall. Human civilization would adapt, but our cities, our cultures, our economies, everything would be reshaped around a new Earth with a new climate. Of course, it's important to be clear. This scenario, total melt in a single day, is physically impossible. But the long-term trend behind it is real. Ice is melting. Sea levels are rising, and the decisions we make today will determine how quickly and how painfully that future arrives. We may not be able to stop every inch of sea level rise, but we can absolutely influence the pace. Our choices will shape the world our children and grandchildren inherit. In the end, this story is not just about water. It's about time. It's about responsibility. And it's about the legacy we choose to leave behind. If you found this video eye-opening, take a moment to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them. And if you enjoy deep visual science stories like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode.